Greetings. Welcome to my weekend market recap 29th April 2023. I am Sagar Nandi, retired IT professional, swing trading stocks using the Q systems and techniques that I developed. You may contact me using my email ID info@superiorprofit.co. I regularly share live market and stock analysis on my website superiorprofit.co, Twitter handle superiorprofit, and YouTube channel Trading Profitably. All these are open to the public and you are most welcome to make use of them. Disclaimer: this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I am not an investment advisor. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. Options trading can be risky. You may refer to the characteristics and risks of standardized options document from OCC to decide if options trading is suitable for you. That not that. I use the Q systems for my trading decisions. All the Q components run on Metastock platform and the technical analysis component runs on TradeStation as well. That was the last slide. Let's continue with a look at the global markets, starting with All Ordinaries Index of Australia. Last week I could not have the weekend market recap. My electricity went off due to a storm. But prior to that, I discussed that All Ordinaries had a wild move up. And then I explained that traffic light signal changed from green to yellow. At the top, it showed some bearish signals, indecision and then bear release, and then the traffic light turned red candle color. All this happened when price was reversing from the trend line resistance. So if you had bought long positions at the bottom, maybe when the flow turned bullish here, you could book profit or apply trailing stop, and you could even look for shorting opportunities. Where is the direction of All Ordinaries? It is inside a range created by trendline resistance and support. Where is it in the range? At the upper edge. What it is doing at the upper edge is tilting down, so you could take short right at the upper edge as it started to tilt down. Not in All Ordinaries itself, probably I wouldn't do that. I would like to look for weak fundamental stocks inside Australian market and short them if I could short them. That is All Ordinaries, not a bullish view for me. What about Japan's Topix index? That is very bullish. The weekly is bullish and daily is bullish. It is at the upper boundary, so I may not buy Topix itself. Anyway, I don't like to buy the indexes, which are average of many stocks. I could look for strong fundamental stocks that are giving low risk buy setups in the Japanese market. It is uptrending. It's not like Australian market, which was range bound. It is uptrending, and my preferred trading direction is an unambiguous bullish. China CSI 300. Here the weekly shape is bullish. Price tried to go below the trendline support, and these direction lines closed bullishly with a bullish indecision as well. And on Thursday, we can see there was a bull release. Prior to that, we had a bullish indecision and price reversed from the watermark support. So in the daily, we had the factors that constitute a box long setup. not all of them. So I wouldn't buy CSI 300 itself on Thursday, but you could drill down into the constituent stocks, and I am sure on Thursday you would buy low risk buying opportunities in the constituent stocks. Those stocks has already gone up by Friday. It is reversing from the lower edge of a range. So Thursday was the best buying day near the close. Friday it has gone up little bit, but you may still find bullish stocks with low risk at the close of Friday. So far we have seen two of the three global markets are giving bullish directional bias, and that is a change from my last couple of market recaps where we didn't see many bullish bias markets. Now we see 2 out of 3. What about India's Nifty 50? This is also bullish. Weekly is bullish in color and shape, and daily has a beautiful breakout from trendline resistance. Very bullish shape on Friday also. So this is the third global market where my preferred trading direction is bullish. I may not buy Nifty itself. It's above upper boundary. The recent low is also significantly far from Friday's close, but I'm sure several individual stocks are giving low risk buy setups. In fact, I may share one of them at least. Let's look at them. Gujarat Gas, GGAS, is the metastock symbol, Reuters symbol, Refinitiv symbol. I like this pattern, and I explained this pattern earlier in several webinars. Weekly at trendline support, daily breaking out of trendline resistance. Those are very powerful signals. And the stop is narrow, which will be just below the daily trendline support. So this has a breakout setup. On top of that, it has a possible flow trend following setup also. Yes, I know it is not looking like a uptrending stock, and I have mentioned it earlier, the flow setup is a bit complex setup. Most of the time it gives a signal in trend following market, but sometimes it tries to anticipate that is it starting to go up from a low price. It's a bit complex in terms of mathematics, so I'm not going to try to explain it, but I see that it has actually a flow setup, not only the flow signal but a flow setup. The setup is shown in the ribbon at the top, and the flow signal is shown at the tick. So it has two possible daily setups, breakout and flow in the daily chart. Weekly backdrop is neutral but shape is bullish, and more importantly for me, it has a trend line support in weekly, daily both. And why I came to this is that though Nifty itself is a bit extended above upper boundary, there are strong fundamental stocks. This stock has strong fundamentals, has nice low risk buy point on Friday. There are other stocks as well. Okay, now let's look at UK market. This is range bound. Similar to the Australian market, it is at the upper edge of the range. So I am not going to buy now until it can break out of the trendline resistance. Just like India market broke out of the trendline resistance, I need FTSE also to break out of the trendline resistance in daily before buying. Instead, if it goes to the trendline resistance and tilts down, I like to short individual fundamentally weak stocks. So two markets we saw are range bound, but several markets are bullish. And what about the USA market? Interestingly, India market broke out and USA market also broke out. Let's look at SPY. Let's step back a bit. For several weeks, 1, 2, 3, for 3 weeks in a row, in fact for fourth week in a row, I was not bullish in terms of low risk buy point in the USA market because it was extended and it was below trendline resistance in some market ETFs. But that has changed. That started to change on Thursday. We have a bullish flow, a possible flow trend following setup in SPY on Thursday. However, the trend line resistance was there nearby, so I wouldn't buy SPY on Thursday, but individual stocks could be bought on Thursday itself that did not have a nearby resistance. And Friday SPY has closed above the trend line resistance, and the weekly closed very bullishly. If you observe the market for years and years, like I do, you will notice that when the weekly candle closes so bullishly right at the very top, I think up to the last cent, closed at the very top, it's more likely than not, much more likely than not, the next week will continue to go up. Still, I will not buy SPY itself. There are many individual fundamentally strong stocks to buy, and I will share a couple of them in today's session if I have time. So SPY clearly bullish. Notice also after a long time in the screen length we never had a big move up 3 which came on Thursday. That is why also I mentioned that Thursday was the time to start to buy stocks. I did the same, and later on I'll show more signs from Q systems why we could start to buy from Thursday. SPY has many such signals on Thursday, and Friday we had further signal in terms of breakout. Okay, what about QQQ? It was the strongest of the market ETFs, and these also broke out nicely on Friday. Again, the flow signal came on Thursday itself, and Friday breakout. Weekly closed right at the very top. Again, very bullish sign. And Dia had the flow on Friday, bullish flow, possible floats long setup, and also a breakout on Friday. Weekly closed bullishly. Here, weekly also has a breakout. Remember, I mentioned some of the market ETFs had trendline resistance. That's why I was not becoming bullish, but now those are broken. We can see. So Dia is also bullish, and like SPY, Dia also had a big move up 3 after many days. So these are not people like me buying. This must be much bigger players buying. That is my explanation at least. So it is looking bullish from that angle also. So all the market ETFs after a long time, I have only bullish view in all of them. Now I mentioned Thursday itself we could start buying, and that view is supported from the very powerful internal health check also. This chart has everything about markets internals, not about a single stock. And we see on Thursday we had the Eureka signal. When the Eureka comes after a pullback, that is a buy point, and Eureka signal is thanks to Mr. Ian Woodward, may him rest in peace. I also put equal if not more emphasis on the accumulation count that tends to come on the same day or before Eureka day. That also came on Thursday. So in terms of internal strength, Thursday was the day to buy, and we saw on the external views also, market ETFs, they were telling that we could start to buy on Thursday, and that's why I started buying from Thursday. In terms of percentage of stocks above 50 MA, from the oversold condition, it came to the midpoint, tried to go down, but now it has gone up, just crossed the 50 midpoint level, so that is also bullish. In terms of 3-month new high low, it tilted down a little bit. It was in the lower half. Now it has crossed the midpoint and it is far below overbought level. That is also bullish. In terms of type of stocks, we may look to buy. This market is I think is only for buying, not about shorting stocks. Individual some stocks may give short trade setups, but it pays much better to be with the market. The market from external, internal, both views are bullish. So if we want to buy, do we buy small cap or large cap? The small cap versus large cap is still tilting down. So as of Friday's close, I continue to favor non-small caps. So mid cap, large cap, mega cap, those are preferred. In terms of growth versus value, it is a flat plot, so I have no preference, agnostic to growth or value. That is the market level view. Internal, external, both are bullish. About sector, industry, stock breadth, here also we see the long-term view. For sector, industry, stock, advanced decline breadth, long-term view is the 1-month view, that is bullish. 10-day view turned bearish, 5-day is also slightly bearish, but the short term last 2 days and 1-day view, they are clearly bullish. So it seems that from bullish it turned bearish, and now, just now, and you can see from Thursday itself, here also we see from Thursday itself we could start to buy. Thursday and Friday is also bullish. That is like buying at a swing low from a sector, industry, stock, advanced decline breadth perspective. Is it overbought? That answer comes from bucket analysis. Percentage of stocks in the uppermost bucket is at 10%, far below the 30-40% level. So it is not overbought, so we can buy. QH is also telling that we can buy. What about technical breadth? Let's look at the weekly picture. Weekly picture is here. Weekly picture is slightly bullish overall, and we see larger percentage of reversal signals in the weekly plot. So it is overall bullish. Last couple of weeks I was not bullish, but now the weekly picture has turned bullish. Good that reversals are more in bullish category. And if we see Friday's plots, Friday is very bullish across the board. Whether we look at all signals, strength signals, continuation and reversal signals, everything is bullish. And you could run finder on Thursday also. Thursday itself you could start to buy stocks based on this technical breadth. Everything we have seen so far is bullish. On Thursday or Friday, I shared a trading idea that didn't confirm the trade, but let's look at that. I posted it on my website in the forum. Let's go to the forum. I am not able to go to the forum. Let's go to the Twitter. I shared the link on Twitter also. Let's see, we can open the forum from Twitter. Okay, it's taking a while. Let's look at the stock using Q Systems live. The stock was Lyft, Lyft. Okay, let's use Q Elite also. Q Elite on trace station. Let's look at lift. Why I shared the idea was that in the weekly it went up sharply here and very sharply dropped. See this cluster of bullish indecisions, 4 in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. That was telling us in the weekly chart that we might expect a bullish move. That came true. It fell sharply, but it stopped at the watermark created by the cluster of bullish indecisions, not headwinds, bullish indecisions. The backdrop color had turned bearish. See how I am reading the chart week by week and on the daily chart day by day. Backdrop color turned bearish. Then it turned neutral, indecision candle, indecision shape, and then turned bullish, and now it is bullish in color for 4 weeks in a row. In daily, meanwhile, it is moving inside a narrow range. It is right near the tip of the triangle, and earnings is coming in a few days. Earnings is coming in a few days. In all likelihood, it will break out at earnings, either to the upside or to the downside. Now, if it could break out on Friday itself, that would be a point to buy. The risk was small. If you bought the stock, the risk could be just below the one of the trend line supports. That would be the stop loss point. However, if I am buying a stock before earnings and I plan to hold it through earnings, I don't like to buy the stock itself. I could have traded it using short put vertical. That was my analysis that I shared on the forum, that if the breakout happens, would give a that will also give a low risk buy point in LYFT lift. And I looked at the fundamentals also. I shared that also in the post. Very high earnings growth of more than 200% in last quarter, and previous 2 quarters also very high percentage earnings growth. Next earnings is on 4th May. So if earnings growth continues anywhere close to what it had in the past 3 years, but sorry, not 3 years, past 3 quarters, it may break out to the upside. And see the industry strength. 87% of stocks went up on Friday. It has a short squeeze potential that will lead to a significant rally if the earnings is positive, and it has robust earnings quality as well. And from the charts, I always look at that. That's one key criteria for me, is the stop loss narrow. That was also narrow. That is also narrow even now. That is why I shared lift as a buying idea. However, on Friday, it did not break out. You may keep an eye if it can break out next week, or you may wait till earnings. That was an idea. After many days, I shared a bullish idea, I think. And let me also look at the banking stocks. I shared some banking stocks earlier, and also the KRE regional banks ETF. Several weeks ago, I mentioned that if the trendline support was broken in the daily chart, that could be a cause for concern. And I am now looking at the historical trend lines in this special template in Q Elite. This was the trend line support that I mentioned, that if that is broken, that will be a cause for concern. And I analyzed that several weeks ago, maybe here, that if this support is broken, that will be a concern. And when I analyzed that somewhere here or somewhere here, I also mentioned that that will be a cause for concern, but I would not short. It is already too low in the price pattern. I would prefer to have a buy setup. And now see what happened on Friday. It regained the broken trend line support level with a bullish candle color. It has a small upper tail. I wouldn't buy at the close on Friday, but if it continues to go up, this is KRE regional bank CTF. I think individual regional banks may also give a buy setup. And if you look at the weekly daily chart, you can see that on Friday we also have bullish flow. Now we can see we had a bullish headwind earlier. We can see these watermark supports are holding. We can see in the weekly the watermark support is holding. So if it goes up, I think several regional banks will give buy setup. Also notice it hit jump thrust low at price extreme low, and then came the big move up 3. So a buy point here will give a lucrative low risk buy point in individual regional bank stocks also. You may keep an eye on carry and individual stocks. Let me also look at Schwab. I have an account, trading account in them. I like the company, fantastic support. Here notice the difference between KRE and Schwab. One difference is that KRE actually came down to the same watermark support level, but Schwab could not. Schwab did not come down. So relatively speaking, from that perspective, Schwab is stronger. It did not hit the earlier low in the weekly. Let's switch back to KRE again. You will see the difference. For KRE, the regional bank CTF, which made the weekly low at the same time that Schwab made the weekly low. And now KRE has retested the low and held it. So it is bullish, but it had to come down and retest it. However, Schwab did not come down and need to retest that earlier low in weekly. So from that angle, to me it is stronger. Also it is stronger in daily for me, because after the bullish indecision came the bullish headwind, and once again this beautiful bullish headwind signal caught the very low. If I look here, the beautiful bearish headwind in weekly caught the very high. The bullish headwind in daily, sorry, weekly again, bullish headwind in weekly again caught the very low. Beautiful signal. And when you look at the unambiguous checklist, you can actually trade using this signal, using proper setup. But the signal is also important. I never ignored the bullish headwind signals. It is nice to see that in daily, after the bullish headwind came, it never crossed that low. Instead, we had a bullish flow after bullish headwind, and I mentioned that is also a buying point if the risk is low. That was the buy point, and now the trend line support is also there, and it is going up from the trend line support. The traffic light color changed from red to yellow. If it goes up next week, it will turn green, and that may also be a buy point. And if you are following the stock for a while, if you have confidence on Schwab, you could buy it on Friday also. Friday the color changed to yellow. I have a long position in Schwab. Those were few banking related stocks. I think I covered the market view. Let me share a few other stocks, buying ideas, all buying ideas, because from every perspective, external view, internal view, technical breadth, sector industry view, everything is bullish. Let's look at some bullish ideas now that are giving confirmed setup as of Friday's close. And after I go through these probably 3 or 4 stocks, I will point out one similarity between all these stocks, maybe more than one similarity in terms of technical charts. And that is a pattern many traders look for. those are not Qtrade setups. Qtrade setups are very reliable, and I will focus on Qtrade setups when I'm going through the charts. Later on, I'll come back and show some similarity between them. First is COUR. Let's look. All of them are also fundamentally strong in terms of Q scorecard. I already checked that. I prepared well this week. COUR. I'll come back to the scorecard. Let it calculate the scorecard. Let's look at the weekly daily charts. Beautiful, isn't it? The more you use the Q charts, unambiguous signals, the more you get to read it and take decisive action. Bullish headwind, great, catching the low. Bearish headwind, great, catching the high. Bullish headwind came here. I'm not trying to figure out whether they were trade setups because I don't have access to all the signals as of that day. But look today as of Friday's close. It had a huge gap up open that also broke out of the trend line resistances, two of them. So right at the open, near the open on Friday, we had a gap come breakout setup. We could take it near the low of the day, and by the close of the day we have a good profit already. That is if you were tracking it using QFinder in real time near the market open. It gave an unambiguous buy setup near the open itself. If I put it on QFinder on TradeStation, see how unambiguously we can read all the signals in real time. At the close, it had a huge up move, 18%, but I think still it is buyable because it just broke out, probably after earnings. I didn't check that. It had a 9% gap up open, and after the 9% gap up open, it went up by further 9.7%. It's confirming a breakout long setup. It has high bullish pressure, very high volume near the upper boundary, but that is fine for breakout setup. Only for trend following setup, we may be careful before buying if it is already near the upper boundary, but for breakout setup, we have no issue. Also, I see this stock is at pendulum low, price extreme low. When a stock is breaking out from price extreme low with huge gap up, that is the lucrative point to buy. Of course, it has very bullish relative performance, and it also has a big move up 3. Let's look back at the chart again. Big move up 3 coming out of price extreme low with bullish pressure, bullish flow, beautiful breakout, and weekly very bullish close. Even big move up 3 in weekly also. So this is looking very bullish. Let's go back to the fundamental scorecard. 78% of peer stocks went up on Friday, has a short squeeze potential similar to Lyft, but Lyft did not confirm the breakout setup. This stock COUR did. High earnings growth. So there are enough reasons to buy in terms of fundamentals. If I check the industry scorecard with another click, interesting. Okay, the industry strength is not so nice. Yes, it is the USA scorecard, 29th April. Okay, so I didn't check the industry strength earlier. Industry's relative score is not so good. So now how do I handle such a situation in my own trading? Of course, we all may look at it differently. Now I see that fundamentally it is strong stock in terms of earnings growth, has short squeeze potential, was at a low price level. that is good enough for buying in terms of fundamental, has a beautiful breakout at price extremely low. That's a lucrative buy point. Industry is relatively not that strong. Then I may look at the stock in more detail using Refinitiv icon, that was this gap up because of earnings, and if it is because of earnings, then I may consider buying the stock, ignoring the industry's relative weakness, because this stock itself is very strong. Now, having said that, I will look at other stocks. If I already have many other stocks that are giving very good technical setups, that are in strong industries also with good fundamentals, good enough fundamentals in terms of growth or valuation, why not buy those stocks instead of COUR? That is how I will approach it. So let's see if we can find few other buying candidates, confirm buy candidates that are 360-degree buy setups. Next stock coming is CMI. Let's get the fundamental scorecard also calculated. In fact, let me use the 3 chart template with the addendum to Q Global CMI. Okay, go back to Q charts. What we see in CMI, weekly very bullish shape in bullish color. Daily had a bullish headwind at this point. Bull release, bullish indecision, earlier bullish indecision cluster as the same price level. So this created a false downside breakout. We could buy right on this candle. That trade was already profitable, and now after the bullish headwind we have a bullish flow with a possible trend following long setup. In fact, that is confirmed when I look at the checklist. When I apply the checklist on weekly daily, we have a flow come breakout setup. It has broken out of 2 trend line resistances. Also giving a, if you wanted to call it a cup and handle pattern, you could call it. However, cup and handle, strictly speaking, is applicable, was supposed to be applicable to stocks that were in stage 2 uptrend. This is not in stage 2 uptrend, but that is fine. Q Systems does not need cup and handle pattern in stage 2 uptrend. The breakout and the flow setup is good enough when the risk is low. Now let's look at its fundamentals. CMI. This is great. This is better than COUR because it is both undervalued as well as it has high earnings growth. And if you noticed when I was looking at the scorecard of COUR, that did not have fund accumulation, but this is something I also take seriously. CMI has strong fund accumulation. 74% peer stocks went up on Friday. It has rapidly accelerating earning as well as revenue growth. That's nice to have. Not only earnings but revenue growth. Let's check this stocks industry scorecard. Okay, relatively it may not be strongest, but it is up, so that is good enough to buy. For COUR, the relative score was weak, and also 1-day percentage change. I looked at it when I was doing the analysis for COUR. The 1-day percentage change was negative for Friday, but here 1-day percentage change is positive, so that is good enough reason to buy in terms of industries scorecard. Yes, it is not the strongest of all the industries, but it is still bullish. For me, I am happy to buy CMI. Okay, let's look at few more stocks. I also want to make sure that I have the latest scorecard. I think so because I saw the date as 29, but let me calculate the scorecard again. And While doing that, the industry scorecard is being recalculated. Let me look at the next stock. That is American Airlines. I'm first looking at the 3 chart template. Okay, nothing to see in the third chart. So let's go back to QLE AAL. And I am very comfortable buying stocks at a low price. You know that, and those are lucrative buy points. Beautiful breakout again, isn't it? Very beautiful breakout. You may call it a W pattern. It is a W. It created a double bottom. We had a bull release here, another bull release at the second bottom. Then came bullish flow on Friday with a very strong breakout with big move up 3 after a long time. Coming out of price extreme low. Weekly has a bullish shape candle with bullish indecision. That is a confirmed breakout long setup at price extreme low, lucrative buy point. We could trade it, I could trade it using stocks, buy it or using stocks on Friday, or I could also use short put vertical. Okay, the Q edge analysis is recalculated, just updated it now, switched on, and I want to check for CMI the industry scorecard again, just to make sure that I was looking at the correct scorecard. Yes, I was looking at the correct scorecard, and Friday was very bullish day across the board. So it is okay to have some industry not among the strongest, but strong in terms of percentage move on Friday, strong enough, and the stock has to be strong. So CMI was a buying candidate, and let's look at American Airlines scorecard now. AAL. Very good fundamentals here also. And see what I commented earlier. If I have stocks that are fundamentally strong in up strong industries with good technical setups, why will I buy one stock where not all things are in sync like COUR? Because CMI and AAL, I'll check the industry. Let's check AAL's industry, and I'll come back to the fundamental scorecard once all the data is retrieved. This is great. This is the best looking industry among all the ones we saw so far. One of the, wow, it's actually the strongest industry on Friday. 153 score out of 153. I don't need it to be the strongest of all industries, but it is very strong, went up by 5% plus on Friday. And it was week earlier. It is coming up. It's a turnaround industry, and we have a stock at price extreme low breaking out. That's the most lucrative point to buy, and I would have bought if I noticed it at the closer. I would have bought it very with confidence, putting stop just below the watermark support. With confidence doesn't mean a trade will make profit. With confidence means it is giving a 360 degrees trading idea, and the stop is narrow for me. And let's look at the fundamental scorecard now. Very high earnings growth. In fact, last 3 quarters in a row, more than 100% earnings growth. 93% of peer stocks went up. So if you ask me for myself, so far all the stocks I saw, my first preference so far is AAL, second is CMI, third is COUR. In fact, I will avoid buying COUR because I already have at least two buying candidates that are 360 degrees buying ideas. So if I had to buy two, I would have chosen AAL and CMI. COUR I will ignore. That was educational services. Okay, I will go through one more stock that is somewhat related to AAL, not exactly, not airlines, but some kind of some mechanism for people to travel. Royal Caribbean, is it a Royal RCL? Let's check the name. Royal Caribbean Cruises, RCL. People travel in that. Not exactly airlines, isn't it? Let's look at RCL. And I would like to look at the three chart template. And you see, many times I don't have signal or signals on the third template. That's not part of Q systems and I don't need it, but I am still looking at it. And here I have something nice to look at on the third chart also, which I don't need. Let's look at the Q signals. Weekly trend line support, daily trend line breakout. That's a very powerful signal. I showed a similar setup in India, Gujarat Gas, and RCL, Royal Caribbean Cruises, is giving a similar pattern. Weekly long-term trend line support, also a very bullish shape, bullish color, daily trend line breakout with a bullish flow as well. Very high volume breakout with a bullish pressure. And on the third chart, HSI like signals, we have many green dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, in fact 5. This is not dot, this is the bongo color, but that's also counted as one of the bullish signals. We have a bullish bongo, PSAR reversal, pocket pivot, MOBO breakout from a squeeze with a kahuna. And Q has a very clear bullish breakout in daily, weekly trendline support. So this is also a great buying candidate, but I will like to look at the fundamentals. Again, high earnings growth in 3 quarters in a row, short squeeze potential, very nice to have when stock is going up from a low price level. On Friday, 91% of peer stocks went up. And if I look at the industry scorecard, one of the top 20% in terms of score, one of the top 20% over 2 days. Remember, on Thursday itself, we could start to look for buying candidates. One of the top 20% in terms of pace, that is acceleration, over 2 days, and high percentage up move on Friday for the industry. So we looked at 4 stocks and 3 of them are giving 360 degrees buying ideas. 3 of them, and the fourth one, the industry is not aligned, so let's not look at the fourth one. But now I will go back to the 3 stocks and I will show another something common between them. I did my homework this week. Last week I couldn't have the webinar. Apologize for that because of electricity breakdown. So I am making up for that. There are many signals on these two Q charts and we don't need all the signals to buy. We just need the signals required for one trade setup. It can be breakout, it can be flow, it can be headwind, but the other signals are there in front of our eyes. Sometimes we don't notice, sometimes we may not need to notice, but no harm to read them. And I am going to now show you another similarity between these stocks. Let me try to open them side by side. Now see the beautiful similarity between these charts. Many of them are actually similar. Similarities are there from many angles. All of them are breakout candidates. And that is happening when SPY and several other market ETFs are also giving breakout setup. Remember, SPY may be bit extended. Let's look at SPY again. What I mean is that what I mean by extended is it is approaching the upper boundary, but more than that, the recent low is quite far from current price. So SPY itself is bullish but not giving a low risk buy point. And it is breaking out though. It's breaking out but not giving a low risk buy point. And remember I mentioned SPY may not give a low risk buy point, but it's bullish. So we may look for other strong fundamental stocks in strong industries that are giving low risk buy point. And they happen to be, all those three happen to be also breakouts. AAL, CMI, RCL. What is the other similarity? All of them have a bullish flow also. Now I'm going to mention the other similarity that sometimes we don't look at. No need to look at also, but the more we use the Q charts, they come to our eyes automatically. In Q systems, there are 5 direction lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, where is the white one? Maybe not on the screen length. Okay, but there are 5. Fast, medium, standard, slow, very slow. The white one may not be coming here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 direction lines. Now there is a concept called fanning out, and in Q techniques we may read it like this: if the stock is crossing over at least 3 of the 5 direction lines at the same time. It is very rare to have fanning out from all the 5 at the same time. Usually it's 3 or 4 that are meaningful. And these 3 stocks all have a fan out of at least 3. Oh, okay, this is the white. This is the white. 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, CMI has a fan out count of 4. And the yellow line is just above Friday's high. If it goes above that, over 2 days, it will have a fan out of 5 count, but we don't need fan out of 5 count. Friday itself was a buying day as a breakout setup with a fan out count of 4. But anyway, we may not need to nitpick on the count. So long as it is 3 or more, it's good enough from that fan out perspective. So CMI has a fan out, and AAL fanning out above 1, 2, 3 lines. 2 other lines are above it, but as I mentioned, fanning out count 3 is good enough. So that is also a fan out pattern. And RCL has the yellow 1, 2, 3, 4. If you read carefully, let me expand. And on your computer, you may look at the pattern again. See 1, 2, 3, 4. Friday RCL has a fan out of 4, and it regained the 5th direction line on Thursday itself. Remember, Thursday itself we could start to look for buy setups. So over 2 days, this is also giving a fan out count of 5, but on Friday itself fan out of 4. But fan out 3 or 4 is good enough, and that is one similarity between the 3 stocks that I noticed. They are breakout candidates, they are having bullish flow, they are in strong industries with strong fundamentals, and we have this fan out pattern, bullish fan out pattern in all of them. The more you use the Q systems, the more you start to read all the signals that may not be required for the trade setup, but they are there for you to use. I'm at the 1 hour point. Let me conclude. After many weeks, I think at least 4 weeks, I am now bullish in terms of preferred trading direction. Earlier, the market might have been bullish, but there was no low risk buy point in terms of market and level analysis. But now, market level view is bullish from all the angles, and there are plenty of buy trade setups that are 360 degrees trading ideas, and I shared some of them. There are many of them more, but 3 of them at least I found in this session itself. Let me end today's session here. Thanks a lot for joining. I look forward to seeing you in my next session, which will most likely be next market weekend. I'll announce the date and time on Twitter as usual. Have a great weekend, and as these live examples show, there is no reason not to do that. As I always say, trade profitably. Thank you.